Assalamu alaikum, guys. Today is our class about artificial feedings of the babies. So artificial feeding of the babies is globally no more than 35% of infants are exclusively breastfed during the first 6 months of life. Until now, not any breast milk substitute has been created that could call close to mothers. Disadvantages of the artificial feedings. Number first, it interferes with the establishment of an emotional bond between mothers and baby. Frequent disease of the child develop, like for example, diarrhea, respiratory and infectious diseases. There is a factor in the development of allergic diseases in future, like eczema, bronchial asthma. Number fourth is great risk of development chronic disease of the digestive system, jaw, dental, orthopedics, and orthopedic diseases. Promotes the emergence of the obesity, diabetes mellitus, atherosclerosis in futures. It generates difficulties in teaching, educations, and intellectual development of the baby. The high risk of the complication of the postpartum period in the mother contribute to the restorations of the ability to become pregnant. Increase the risk of the mother developing breast and ovarian tumors. So this is the 8 disadvantage. So again, we come to the contraindication to breastfeeding from the mother, open form of TB with bacillus excretions. If the mother have TB, don't put the baby mother feed. Infections like HIV, immunocompromised diseases, hepatitis B and C. The stage of decompensation in chronic disease of the heart, liver, kidneys, acute mental illness, and malignant tumors. There's the contraindication also, congenital metabolic disease, hemolytic disease of the newborns. So these are for childs. Galactosemia, phenylketonuria. In these conditions, the black color urine, alexia, and maple syrup urine diseases. Definition of artificial feeding. This is such an infant's nutrition in which he does not receive human milk, or it is less than 20%, 1/5 of the volume of food, the main food product containing infant formula. Artificial feeding of a baby is an ecological disaster for him. So careful, precise implementation of the maxing technique, the baby's transition to artificial feeding should not be too quick. The feeding remains free in children before the introduction of the complementary foods 6 times a day, after the introduction of the complementary food 5 times a day. So complementary food should be given with a spoon. The introduction of the complementary food of the babies who are fed with highly adapted formula does not differ from those of children with breastfeeding. The rules of the artificial periodically is necessary to calculate the required amount of the nutrients based on the needs of protein, fats, carbohydrate, and calories per body weight. So the normal baby calories must be 110 mg in the newborn area. The daily amount of foods by volume is not more than 1 liter. The ratio between protein, fats, carbohydrates is 1 into 1 into 4. And the number of calories is 5% more than with natural feedings. The child should receive only one formula. You cannot often change an infant formula. Replacement is permissible for the bed weights gained within 2 weeks. Always give the infant formula sterile and warm up. A portion of water per feeding should be warm up to 40 to 42 centigrades and then transferred to a sterile bottle. So the amount of formula needed for this feeding should be warmed up. After each feeding, the bottle should be rinsed with water or boiled. The hole in the pacifier should be small so that the baby can suck out a portion of the formula in 10 to 15 minutes. You need to feed your baby keeping him on your lap. Hold the bottle with the formula in such a position that the neck of the bottle is always filled with milk. Fifth, duration of the storage of the prepared formula at room temperature 2 hours, in the refrigerator 24 hours. So calculation of the amount of food for children in the first days of life, 70 or 80 xn, where n is a day of a newborn life. So these are Finkelstein formula. 2% of body weight at birth multiplied by n, where n is the day of the child life. So this is Z Siva's formulas. Calories method, the physiological need of a child in the first quarter is 125 kilocalorie per kg of the body weight per day. In the second quarter, 120 kilocalorie per kg. In the third quarter, 115 kilocalorie per kg. It means 115. In the fourth quarter, 110 kilocalories per kg. The approximate energy value of the adapted milk formula is 670 to 680 kilocalories per liter. Volumetric method is from 10 days to 2 months and 1/5 of the body weight, from 2 to 4 months, 1/6 of the body weight, and from 4 to 6 months, 1/7 of the body weight. From 6 months to a year is 100 or 1000 ml, 1 into 8 into 1 and per 9 body weight. A recommended frequency of feeding a baby on artificial feeding is from birth to 4 months, 6 to 8 times a day. From 4 to 12 months, 5 to 6 times a day. The baby needs this. Classification of infant formula is sweet and sour, native liquid and dry, unadapted mix B, mixture of C, for diluted cow's milk, adapted basic standard starting initial, next special therapeutic, non-standard for premature babies and children with low body weight. The basic standard formula is these are dry milk formula adapted for all food components as close as possible to breast milk. By food and biological value and osmolarity, they contain all the necessary nutritional supplement like taurine, L-carnitine, and lecithin, etc., which are of particular importance for the development of a child from 0 to 12 months of age. Formula 0 to 6 month initial formula number 1 are as close as possible in composition to breast milk, and the peculiarities of the metabolism and the process of digestion in children of this age group are taken into account. The following is formula. These are formulas that are recommended for children over 6 months. So these are partially adapted formulas that are prepared without additions of protein and serum. So the nutritional energy value of this formula is higher than the basic one. So except for lactose, they contain sucrose and starch. So special therapeutic formula are the treatment any disorder like diarrhea, allergic disease, genetic disease such as galactosemia, phenylketonuria. So we will give NaN, NaN, and +2+1 also. Non-standard formula used for feeding babies with prematurity or with low birth weight, their names used to prefix pre. So it means they should include whey protein. Whey protein, some of which are hydrolyzed, and they include triglyceride components. The carbohydrate component in addition to lactose contain dextraminase, such as feature of the protein, carbohydrate, and fat components of the formula ensure this assimilation under condition of reduced enzymatic activity of the digestive tract. Taurine and L-carnitine are essential component of formula for premature babies. What consider when choosing a formula? Age must be considered, the degree of adaptability of the formula, individual tolerance of the formula. The requirement for a child of a first year in a food ingredients per 1 kg of the body weight with artificial feeding. So 0 to 6 month protein must be 3.0 gram, fat 6.0 gram, and carbohydrate 12 to 14 grams. 7 to 12 months, the protein must be 3.5, little bit high, fats again 5.5, 5.0, little bit low, and carbohydrate 12 to 14 the same. Unadapted food are 0 to 6 month protein 4 gram, fats at 5.5 and 5.0 gram, carbohydrate 12 into 14 grams. 7 to 12 months proteins 3.5 and 4.0 gram, fats must be 5.5 gram, and carbohydrate must be 13 gram. Rules for introductions of complementary foods start to be administered only the healthy children. The volume of new ones gradually increases every day and is brought to the required volume within 10 to 14 days. The next complementary food or corrective supplement is introduced when the child has adopted the previous one after 1 month. The complementary food are given before dairy food in the same feeding until complete adaptation and displacement of the formula. The first and last feed are left without complementary food and remedical application. Common mistakes in artificial feeding are the frequent formula changes when you change the formula again to NAN1 to lactose or like this. A hasty change of the formula with minor changes in child stool and persistent feeding with one formula even if there is insufficient weight gain, ignoring the individual characteristic of the child digestive system. For example, child develop diarrhea, child develop constipation, so you must be careful that. Don't be ignored. Criteria for evaluating the effectiveness of artificial feeding is the general state of the child, characteristic of the healthy emotional state, development of the static and other psychomotor function, the condition of the skin and mucous membrane, development of the subcutaneous fat based structure of tissues, the condition of the muscular and skeletal system, the functional state of organ digestions and other internal organs, growth dynamic, body mass dynamic, morbidity, laboratory indicators, for example, hemoglobin level, WBC count, RBC count, result of cytological examination, general urine analysis. Thank you for your attention. So we will proceed shortly for the next class. Thank you guys.